So in the previous lecture, we had a discussion on indifference curve. We had a discussion on the budget line. We had a discussion on the changes in the budget line, है ना? फिर हमने equilibrium पढ़ा था, something like this, which is there on your screen right now. The optimum consumption point कौन सा है? You have RSTUV. So the optimum level is T. The reason why it's an optimum level is because यहाँ पे जो budget line है, it is tangent to the highest indifference curve possible. What we know is I4 and I5, यानी indifference curve 4 and indifference curve 5, ये तो possible ही नहीं है. ठीक है? I'll write not possible to achieve. Agreed? As far as point R, बल्कि in fact point S and U versus even like I'll say indifference curve 1 and indifference curve 2, they both are connecting to the budget line. लेकिन what we know about this is it's not tangent, is it? It's not tangent, it's crossing through. And we've learned whenever it's crossing through, that means you are utilizing the entire budget, but you are not maximizing the utility. So that's why your point R, S, U, V are not the ones that you should, combination you should try to achieve. We've already learned अगर ये 50 है तो this will be 60, ये 70, ये 80, ये 90. And we've already suggested few things about this. बचता है IC0, IC indifference curve 3 at point T. सीधी सी बात है कि कंज्यूमर इक्विलिब्रियम होता है जहां पे इंडिफरेंस कर्व और बजट लाइन मीट करते हैं. कल हमने ये किया था कि इंडिफरेंस कर्व का जो स्लोप होता है ग्रेडियंट, उसको हमने MU(x) ओवर MU(y) की बेसिस के ऊपर सीखा था, और जो बजट लाइन की प्राइस थी वो PX ओवर PY थी. तो बेसिकली दिस इज द पॉइंट एट T जो हमने कहा हमारा ऑप्टिमम लेवल ऑफ इक्विलिब्रियम है. Then also in our lecture we concluded our class with basically this diagram, but we did not do such an extensive one. Let me walk you through it. Ignore this ABCD wali line, okay, the price consumption curve. Just ignore that for now. Basically, this is the diagram for how the demand curve is constructed. So for those of you who were here last class and who were not here, please follow. The first thing that is happening is equilibrium A. Nothing else exists. Okay? हो क्या रहा है? You have, in fact, let me do it on the side and show you exactly what's happening in it. Okay? So basically what's happening is ओरिजिनल बजट लाइन है और एक इंडिफरेंस कर्व है, पॉइंट ए पे इंटरसेक्शन है. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू इमिटेट द वन दैट इज ऑलरेडी देयर. I1 ने बता दिया इतना गुड एक्स आप कंज्यूम करो. आई थिंक देव गिवन यू अ लेबल ऑफ Q1 एंड दिस इज Y1. ये बजट लाइन के लिए एक स्पेसिफिक प्राइस यूज हुई थी, वो प्राइस हमने यहाँ मार्क कर दी, बिकॉज जब हम प्राइस इनटू क्वांटिटी कर रहे हैं तो दैट प्राइस हैज बीन मार्क्ड ओवर हियर P1, और P1 पे ये वाली क्वांटिटी ऊपर हमारे को बजट लाइन से आ गई है Q1. दैट्स माय फर्स्ट पॉइंट. यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस, हाउ दिस केम अबाउट. फिर उसके बाद हमने कहा इस गुड की प्राइस कम हो गई. जब प्राइस कम हुई तो पिवट शिफ्ट आउटवर्ड्स आया और हम एक नए इंडिफरेंस कर्व के ऊपर पॉइंट बी के ऊपर आ गए और उसकी क्वांटिटी आ गई Q1। क्योंकि प्राइस गिरी थी तो मैंने उसकी दूसरी मार्किंग कर दी P2 और इसकी जो क्वांटिटी है वो ऊपर से हमारे पास आ गई है एंड यू हैव द सेकेंड वन। फिर उसके बाद और मजीद प्राइस गिरती है तो ये पिवट शिफ्ट और मजीद टू द राइट हो गया, एक और इंडिफरेंस कर्व बन गया।
उसके लिए तो पहले इंडिफरेंस कर्व दिया होगा ना?
यप, योर इंडिफरेंस मैप विल बी देयर प्राइस 3 कम होने पे, बट द थिंग इज कि तुम लोग खुद बनाते जाओगे ना, because you will, there's nothing will be given, you'll have to make it yourself, this entire thing.
You're supposed to draw that in the exam.
Yeah.
It's an essay question.
It's an essay question. And that's how the demand curve for this product comes into existence. यहाँ पे एक और price कम करके basically they've shown how this movement along the curve is happening. There is a background to it. फिर जहाँ पे तुम्हारे equilibriums आए होते हैं उन points को meet कर दो तो उसको हम price consumption curve कहते हैं. So the next thing we have is something called, whenever there is a change in the price of a good, we say there is a substitution and an income effect. ठीक है? Substitution and income effect depends on the price. अगर किसी भी good की price change होती है तो income और substitution effect comes into play. What are they? So this example right here says कि Pepsi की price अगर कम हो गई तो what's going to happen as a result of it? तो पेप्सी की अगर प्राइस कम हो गई तो ग्रेट न्यूज, नाउ पेप्सी इज चीपर. ठीक है? सो इफ आई बाय द सेम अमाउंट ऑफ पेप्सीज आई विल सेव मनी. सो इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि मेरी परचेजिंग पावर बढ़ गई है और मैं ज्यादा अमीर हो गया. और क्योंकि मैं ज्यादा अमीर हो गया हूं तो अब मैं दोनों चीजें और कंज्यूम भी कर सकता हूं. एंड और दोनों तरफ की बात है, क्योंकि जब मेरे पास, और ये वो उस सिचुएशन में सबसे ज़्यादा इसका इम्पैक्ट आएगा जब कोई चीज़ ऐसी है जैसे एक लो इनकम बंदे के लिए कोई स्टेपल फूड जैसे राइस हो गया या पोटैटोज़ हो गए जिसके ऊपर उनका ज़्यादा गुजारा होता है, वो उनकी इनकम का ज़्यादा बड़ा परसेंटेज लेके जाता है. अगर उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट की अगर प्राइस कम हो गई तो वो ज़्यादा अमीर फील करेंगे बिकॉज उनका एक मेजर स्टेपल फूड पे जिस पे एक्सपेंस बहुत ज़्यादा जाता था वहाँ सेविंग बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगी. Yeah, but the thing is it really depends. आगे we're going to see that people might actually reduce the expenditure on that essential thing that they consume so often, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the point is, income effect क्या बता रहा है? Income effect ये बता रहा है that if the price falls, I feel richer, my purchasing power goes up, and I might buy more of both. This is the income effect. Substitution effect on the other side is saying, उसी वक्त when the price of Pepsi has fallen, now you get more Pepsis for every pizza that you give up. Substitution में. So since Pizza is relatively more expensive, I should buy less pizzas and more Pepsi. इसको हम substitution कह रहे हैं. And we say this always comes into play whenever the price of the product falls. Whether, let's say, it's the detergent. Ariel है, घर के ऊपर Ariel आता है और let's suppose उसकी price गिर जाती है. अब जब उसकी price गिरती है तो there is a substitution and an income effect that will play a role in, will you be overall buying more of it, will you be buying overall less of it, or whatever. ठीक है? So before we get into the major thing, देख लो हो क्या रहा है. Let's suppose if the product price falls down, what's going to happen? Well, the two effects are going to take place. What are the two effects? Substitution and income effect. अब किसी भी चीज की अगर प्राइस कम होती है तो सब्स्टिट्यूशन इफेक्ट विल बी मोर और लेस. विल यू कम टुवर्ड्स दैट प्रोडक्ट और विल यू मूव अवे फ्रॉम दैट प्रोडक्ट? So that means if the price falls, substitution effect is going to be positive. You're going to come towards the product. Income effect from the purchasing power point of view is saying, ठीक है, इस product की price कम हो गई, now I'm richer. Should I buy more of it or less of it? Really depends on what happened to my real income. If किसी product की price गिरती है तो तुम्हारी real income बढ़ जाएगी। रियल इनकम अगर बढ़ गई है तो डिस्कशन अब आ जाता है कि जो प्रोडक्ट तुम बात कर रहे हो क्या वो नॉर्मल है या वो इंफीरियर है, क्योंकि रिमेंबर फ्रॉम द डेफिनेशन नॉर्मल मीन्स दैट इफ इनकम गोज अप यू बाय मोर ऑफ इट, एंड inferior means that if your income goes up you will buy less of that, you'll move to a better quality. So if it's a normal good and your real income is going up, you'll have a positive income effect, but if it's an inferior good you'll have a negative effect. Okay, similarly if the price of the product rises you have two effects, substitution and income effect. Substitution effect, price बढ़ रही है तो substitution effect will be on the negative side. You'll move away from the product because it's gotten expensive, relatively more expensive. Income effect again depends on whether it's a normal or if it's an inferior good. So for that I'll have to see कि अगर price बढ़ रही है तो मेरी जो real income है वो कम हो रही है। रियल इनकम कम हो रही है और नॉर्मल गुड है तो डिमांड गिरनी चाहिए, और अगर रियल इनकम गिर रही है और इंफीरियर प्रोडक्ट है तो यू शुड मूव टूवर्ड्स दिस प्रोडक्ट। लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द ग्राफिकल साइड फॉर इट। दिस इज व्हाट वी हैव ऑलरेडी डन इन द नोट्स, इट्स देयर इन योर नोट्स। ठीक है गुलाम, आई नीड यू टू फॉलो, अयान आई नीड यू टू फॉलो बिकॉज दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच इज डिफिकल्ट। लेबल्स आर ऑलरेडी गिवन टू यू। पिज्जा और पेप्सी की बात हुई हुई है। इनिशियल इनकम $100 है, प्राइसेस आर गिवन टू यू, एक्सेसेस हैव बीन मार्क्ड। सो करंट इस सिचुएशन की बजट लाइन इज ऑलरेडी आई हैव सजेस्टेड। ठीक है, इट्स ऑलरेडी गिवन, इट्स दिस वन राइट हियर। तो ऑन दिस बेसिस वी हैव एन ऑप्टिमम कंजम्पशन पॉइंट। ठीक है, I have my first initial equilibrium. I would have wanted to be on IC1, but I can't. My budget is saying this is point A is your best level point, at which I should get 15 pizzas and 20 of this. This is my first equilibrium. We good? Yeah, okay. Now the next thing that has happened is they're saying the price of pizza falls to 2. सिर्फ पिज्जा की प्राइस गिर रही है, बजट वही $100 है, तो 100 डिवाइडेड बाय $2, ये तो अपनी जगह 50 के ऊपर ही रहेगा। इसकी प्राइस 4 से 2 पे चली गई है, तो 100 डिवाइड बाय 2 50. I should be able to afford 50 of this. So what do? I do a pivot shift, something like this, till it becomes a little tangent. Okay, pivot shifting, that's my first step. Anyone has a question why there is a pivot shift? So now that there is a pivot shift, we have a new equilibrium. I'll call it point B. That's my new equilibrium right there. And now as a result of that I have new consumption points for pizza. I am having 25 of this and I am having 25 of this as well. दोनों की कंजम्पशन बढ़ गई। मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक गुड की प्राइस कम होने से मेरे दोनों गुड्स की कंजम्पशन बढ़ रही है, और ये ए से बी जाने के अंदर जो ओवरऑल, इसको हम टोटल इफेक्ट बोलते हैं, ये जो टोटल इफेक्ट इंक्रीज आया है कितने का, कितने पिज्जास का, ये टोटल इफेक्ट कहलाया जाता है, और ये प्लस में है क्योंकि क्वांटिटी इंक्रीज हो रही है। ये जो प्राइस कम होने की वजह से 10 का टोटल इफेक्ट आया है पिज्जास में। आई एम नॉट वरिंग अबाउट पेप्सी बिकॉज पेप्सी की तो प्राइस ही चेंज नहीं हुई है, तो सब्स्टिट्यूशन इनकम इफेक्ट आई डोंट नीड टू टॉक अबाउट दैट। प्राइस इसकी चेंज हुई है तो इसका सब्स्टिट्यूशन इनकम इफेक्ट फिगर आउट करना है। सो टोटल इफेक्ट 10 पिज्जाज में ज्यादा कंज्यूम कर सकता हूं, तो मैं ये कह रहा हूं इस 10 पिज्जा के अंदर देयर इज अ सब्स्टिट्यूशन एंड एन इनकम इफेक्ट दैट इज कमिंग इनटू प्ले। ऑलराइट, उसको हमने सेपरेट करना है कि सब्स्टिट्यूशन इफेक्ट कितना है और इनकम इफेक्ट कितना है। सो बिफोर यू आंसर दैट First tell me, what has happened to my real income in this scenario so far? It has increased because price गिरी है. जब price गिरती है तो purchasing power बढ़ती है. My real income has gone up. ठीक है, तो ये जो इसमें इंक्रीज आया है इसका मतलब है इसमें रियल इनकम बढ़ी थी. तो अब सब्स्टिट्यूशन और इनकम इफेक्ट को सेपरेट करने के लिए ये जो रियल इनकम बढ़ी है इसको मैं कम करना सेपरेट करना चाह रहा हूं. सो द वे टू सेपरेट इज you put your ruler on the new budget line that you've constructed. Okay, this is the point, Ghulam, I need you to hear. You put your ruler on the new budget line और हमको पता है इनकम से पैरेलल शिफ्ट्स आते हैं. तो मुझे अगर रियल इनकम को हटाना है तो कम करना पड़ेगा और कम का मतलब है बजट लाइन स्टार्ट मूविंग इनवर्ड्स. कब तक? जब तक ये टेंजेंट ना हो जाए पुराने इंडिफरेंस कर्व से. राइट देयर, टेंजेंट हो गया, नॉट क्रॉसिंग थ्रू, नॉट आउटसाइड, किसी भी पॉइंट पे जहां पे इसको टेंजेंट मिलता है. राइट ओवर देयर आई एम गोना मार्क माय पॉइंट C. Which part? So let me go over it once more. A से B total effect. Then we brought the parallel line inwards. B at the point of पुराने indifference curve के साथ the meeting point C. उसके बाद ये जो total effect आया था उसको हमने separate कर दिया. A से C की movement में you're getting more pizzas, you're losing some Pepsis for it, that's your substitution effect. और फिर C से B की जो movement है that's your income effect, that's also positive. Right, so I made my first budget line using the information over here. 6 sodas and 4 movies I can watch. I draw a line, A पे equilibrium है, then you're saying movie की price को factor in करो. I should be able to get 6 and 6, right? 6 and 6. And so I will have like a tangent somewhere around here. This is my B. Okay? What do I do next? Huh? How?
Pivot shift.
Pivot shift, I've done it. So right now we're going to make that whenever there is a fall in the price of a good, there is substitution and income effect that happens for 3 different types of goods. This is sort of like a one must essay question, and you have to draw these 3 diagrams for the 3 goods with their written summary about exactly what's happening in them. So today we're going to do it with the price falls and with the price rises. So we have about 6 diagrams that we have to deal with. So how to make it easy? Well, in the summary, I'll write the summary beforehand. Okay. So in a normal good, whenever there is a fall in the price of X, the result will be that since the prices are going down, the substitution effect is going to be positive. More people will come towards this good. When the price falls and the real income goes up, as a result, the income effect will also be positive. And overall, as a result of this, the total effect will be on the higher side as well. So we're going to see the size of the substitution income effect doesn't really matter for your diagrams, and overall the total effect is going to be pretty large. And so we're going to show this on our diagrams. So whenever there's a fall in the price, you should already know what's going to happen. Well, the curve is going to pivot shift outwards. And after that, this new line of ours, it starts to pivot shift inwards. Okay? I'm going to make it inwards till a point where you have a nice crisscross in the middle of the diagram. Okay, somewhere over here. Not too low, not too high, but right here in the just right place. Then, in the crisscross, let's mark 2 points. Okay, one on the non-parallel line, which is our original, and then you construct an indifference curve, the original one. How do I know it's the original? Because our original line was this. So this point right here is our original. We can call it point A. And this other one, it's on the same indifference curve. We're going to call it point C. Let's bring the dotted line down here. And this is our point C. And from here to here, we have a substitution effect which is positive. So we have one thing of the other two things which are left now. As far as the total effect goes, total effect has to be like when the original line was this and it pivot outwards. So the original has to be somewhere around here. So for a normal good, your original is going to be on the right hand side, anywhere on this side of the C of this point. It should be anywhere on this side. So I'll make one. Let's make it over here. And we're on our higher indifference curve. Overall, we are buying more. Okay, and this is our point B. So from here all the way till here, from C to B, is our income effect, which is also plus. Okay, and our total effect is all the way from here, from A to B. That's our total effect. So if you were to see it the way we've already learned, so you're at point A, the curve pivots because of a price fall, you move on to B. A to B is the total effect, and it's in positive, this direction. And after that, we bring the parallel line inwards towards the tangent of this point. A to C becomes the substitution because you're getting more of X and less of Y. And from C to the final result when we go, that's your income effect. This is our scenario for a normal good. Number 2, when the price falls, what happens to an inferior good? Let's do the summary first. The summary that we're going to see is that when the price of X is going to go down, the substitution effect will be positive. People will move towards this good because it's relatively cheaper. You give up other good and you come more towards this. However, because of the fall in the price, the real income goes up. When real income goes up, people go towards better quality goods and they're going to leave this inferior good. So you're going to have a negative. What's going to be the total effect? Well, for a plain inferior good, your total effect will be positive. Now, how will that work? So there was a little substitution effect and then there is a negative effect. Well, overall, if it's positive, that means the substitution effect was greater than the income effect. That's why overall people are still buying more of this. And this is how it works for an inferior good. Let's work out the diagram. Our original line. After that, the line pivots. And then we'll take out the real effect. We're going to start moving it inwards till a point where it's like nice halfway between. This is the point for the original, point A, because it's on the non-parallel line. This will be on the same indifference graph, so this is going to be C. Connect the two dots using a single indifference graph. We do the marking from A to C. That's our substitution effect. Okay. Now, as far as B, where does the B go? So for B, for an inferior good between A and C, the range that we have between A and C, this is where we're going to do it. Okay. The point B is going to be marked. It's going to be a tangent in between A and C. And then based on this, let's bring a dotted line as to what is happening really. So A to C we said is the substitution effect. C to B right here is the income effect, which is negative because it's going in the opposite direction. And your total effect, because the substitution effect is greater, we can see from A to B, our total effect is positive in this case. As the summary suggests, we've already dealt with this in the summary. When the price goes down, overall total effect will be positive. It's right here from A to B. Substitution effect is going to be positive. It's right here from A to C. And then you're going to have a small income effect from C to B. So they're going to net off each other. Substitution effect is greater than the income effect, and that's going to overall have an impact on this. Now the last one is about the Giffen good. All right. So with the Giffen good, basically what's happening is that when the income goes down, the substitution effect is positive. Some people will come towards it as a result of it being cheaper. But quite a large proportion of people are going to move away from this product because when it becomes cheap, they will save a lot of income. And so then they're going to choose that rather than having more of this good, we should actually move to a better good, a higher standard of living based good. Like for example, let's leave potatoes and maize and move towards like maybe meat and chicken and vegetables. So overall, the total effect is actually going to be negative in this one. That's the key difference between the other two, normal and inferior good, that a fall in the price is actually going to cause a negative total effect. And that's happening mainly because the substitution effect is actually lesser than the income effect. Okay? And the way we're going to show this in our diagram for a Giffen good. So we have a normal and then you're going to have a pivot shift outwards. You're going to put a ruler on the new line, going to start moving it inwards till it becomes tangent to the old indifference curve. We don't have the old indifference curve. Let's do pointers. Point A, point B, sorry, point C, and you draw the indifference curve. Doesn't matter how the shape is as long as it's downward sloping. All right, and based on that, we have first effects A to C. That's our substitution effect. Good, positive 1. Now, as far as the B's marking goes, your total effect needs to be on the negative. So when this line pivoted outwards, instead of moving on the right hand side, I need to move on the left hand side. So that means our point should be on the left hand side of A, anywhere in this range. Let me do it over here, and I mark it. That's my indifference curve 1 with our point B. Let's bring the dotted line to show what has happened. Well, this is the direction of the total effect. So substitution effect moves to the right, but the total effect is moving to the left. That means from C all the way to B, this is where the income effect is going. Too much movement away because people feel richer and they want to buy something more valuable. Now remember that both inferior goods and Giffen, basically they both come under the category of inferior goods. It's just that the Giffen is quite a lot more inferior, with the substitution effect lesser than the income effect. When the price of good X rises, then how do normal, inferior and Giffen are going to work? So that's good Y, that's good X. So is Zafa, we're going to start with a little lower on the y-axis, and you'll see why I'm actually doing that. Okay, so we have to make 3 diagrams. Place it. All right, so for the first one, for a normal good, the summary is that for a normal good, if the price of X is going to rise, price बढ़ने से the substitution effect should be negative. The income effect, because if the price goes up, real income goes down, and real income goes down, and you buy less of it, that's what normal means. And so the total effect is going to be negative as well. So how do we show it in our diagram? Well, when the price rises for X, we can expect a pivot inwards. Okay? And after that, we're going to place our ruler and we're going to start moving it outwards towards the original line. Okay, that's where we're going to move it. The same thing, where is the original? Well, the non-parallel line is the original. That's my A. And on the crisscrossing the other side, that's my point C. Okay, let's have an indifference curve, tangent on both sides. You have A and you have C. So all the way from here to here is my substitution effect, which is negative. Okay, now our second line, our final line is actually this one. So B has to be on it. Okay, so if B has to be on it, it's going to be far on the left hand side of C. It's going to be on this side of the C. for our discussion to actually work. The two indifference curve can never intersect. This is our point P, and you bring a dotted line here to show that if you can see from here all the way here, that's our income effect from C to B, and that's also negative. And our overall total effect is negative. Now this is consistent with the summary we wrote. So we were here originally. The line pivot inwards with a point P. This is our new final point. So from A to B is the total effect. We move the line towards the original indifference curve. It separates the substitution effect for us. It separates the income effect for us. Okay, so this one's done, not so difficult, manageable. For the second one, all right, let's do for an inferior good now. For an inferior good, the summary first. So what's going to happen is, if the price of X goes up, people will move away from it because of the relativity. Price goes up, real income goes down. When real income goes down, people move towards this particular product. Sorry, in the above one I wrote positive. The substitution effect will be negative. Because of the price going up, people's real income is going to go down, so they're going to move away from a higher quality product towards this inferior, so the income effect is going to be positive. As a result, the overall total effect is going to be negative, because the substitution effect is greater than the income effect. People will still continue to buy less of this. From the diagram point of view, your original is given to you. We're going to make a pivot shift inwards, and then we're going to move a line outwards in a parallel manner. Okay, and that's our original line, and this is the other one. A and C, indifference curve comes, gets tangent to it. That's our point A right here, and that's our point C. Substitution is negative as the summary suggested. Now, as far as point B goes, the point B has to be in between A and C. Okay, so A or C के अंदर जो जगह बचती है, now over here, this is where the problem has introduced. For an inferior good, if you see, I have to make a point between A and C, and this is the only part of the new line that I have available. I don't have it over here. If it was a slightly like this, then I would have had more range to work with. At least with the inferior, you will be able to make it. You will have a little bit of space where you will be able to, just fit in the IC1 if you're not careful enough. Now, from A to B is your total effect. Let's bring P ka pointer. A to B is your total effect, which is negative, as again the summary suggested. And C to B is positive, moving in this direction, and that's our income effect, a little positive. So a big movement towards the left because of substitution, a little forward movement towards the income, and so the overall total effect stays negative. Now the difficult one is this Giffen. What's going to happen with the Giffen good? So with the Giffen good, let's do the summary first. When the price of X is going to rise, the substitution effect will be negative. The income effect is going to be positive. And overall, the total effect is going to be positive as well. And this would be a result that the income effect is going to outweigh the substitution effect. Now, when I'm making a diagram for this, a few important points for this, for the Giffen one. Number one, let's move our line this way. Okay, slight pivot. Okay, not too much, just a little pivot. And then when I am making my crisscross line, I'm gonna try to keep this crossing as high as I can. This crossing right here on the higher side. Okay. Now when I do that, my non-parallel line, this is my A, and on the other side this is my C, so that's my indifference curve, और as a result of that ये मेरे पास आ गया the substitution effect going on the left side. Now when this line moved over here, I have on the A की right side के ऊपर now I have a big range, specifically because I moved this crisscross a little on the higher side. It leaves me more space over here to work with the Giffen. So I'll just mark point B. Indifference curve cannot intersect each other. I carefully draw my IC1 and do my marking over here. A to B, from here to here, shows my total effect, which is actually positive. But from C to B, I have a large income effect, which is going on the plus side. And we can clearly see that the substitution income effect is overtaking the substitution effect. And this is how the three diagrams are going to work for this one. All right, so that's our first two chapters, and we have discussed our ability to draw the diagrams in them, and so that's the key thing.